Have you ever asked yourself, why am I here? We're here to become the Christ. How do we do that when we have really sort of lost up our whole reason for being? When we were first created, we were perfect. We were perfect in God. And then we chose to try out our free will and experiment with lesser vibration, which has taken us far away from our Father's frequency. And so Jesus came. Jesus came and showed us the way back. We come from birth to death. The birth of the Christ child within us we celebrate every Christmas. We call it Advent. 4 Sundays and 4 weeks we prepare for the birth of that Christ consciousness within ourselves. And then we come to Easter. We have what we call Lent. It's 40 days of practice, 40 days of discipline, 40 days of moving deeper into the resurrection flame. It starts on Ash Wednesday. If you count back 40 days, not weekends, but 40 work days back, you will find Ash Wednesday starts a thrust toward Easter in increasing that resurrection flame, moving from where we are up into that oneness of the Father. And then we come to Easter and the victory of the resurrection. And we see Christ coming forth from death unto life. And then we practice the second stage, the second 40 days, which is the 40 days of the Ascension. It's 40 days after Jesus came forth from the dead, he arose. And so we are in that process right now. But how do we ascend? Did you ever ask the question, how do I ascend? I would like to ascend. I would like to not have to come back to this situation we're in right now. I would like to be with the saints of heaven. How do I do that? Some time ago, Lanello gave a dictation. It's recorded in volume 35, number 10 of the Pearls of Wisdom, in which he talks about how do you ascend? What is the mechanism that we have in our minds as we day by day think in terms of our ascension? He says, yes, beloved, how do you ascend? You ascend daily. It is like mounting a flight of stairs. You know not the count, for the steps represent each step that must be taken in life. How to ascend is to arrive at the top of the top step at the end of this embodiment. You cannot leap the flights or the spirals or the turns, beloved, and you do not know how many steps you must take, for each one of you is on a different place on this staircase. We have different levels of our karma balanced. We have achieved so much so far in this business of coming back into that perfection. Since you do not know the end or the beginning, you must just keep on keeping on. You must take a step a day being a cycle of an initiation that might endure for weeks or even months. But if you do not take the appropriate measures each day, those that you know so well, in terms of maintaining your harmony, the fire of your dedication, your decrees intertwined with meditation upon God, and this is so important to understand. You don't do just decrees. You use the decrees to increase your vibration, to move up, and you then move into that meditation, communing with the Father. Sometimes we don't understand there's a combination here. You use the one to get into the other. Even as you invoke and meditate, visualize and affirm the word simultaneously, if you do not fulfill in a day's cycle the requirement of a certain step, it will be much more difficult to fulfill it later. For the next steps come upon you, and you then are overloaded. It is not that you are overloaded with menial work, beloved. You become overloaded when you skip cycles of initiation and then do not know where to turn. The army has marched on without you, and you are looking for the staircase indeed. So, beloved, each rising and setting of the sun marks a cycle whereby you mount those staircases, those stair steps. There are many things in the duties of the day that cannot be postponed to the next. For when they are postponed and the momentum wanes, so often the cycle is lost and the project is not completed. And how difficult it is to get that project done when you have to crank it up again and start all over. So understand that this is life. That life that is measured by the soul and the heart and the holy Christ self. I bid you then, secure the moments. Secure them as the mind uses them to enter compartments of eternity. For time is indeed an element of eternity, as eternity has compartments of measurement. This time has many dimensions, and as does the space of eternity. Yet there is a correlation to your life here below. Thus I say, neglect not the hours. Fill them with joy. Joy is the very first principle of the ascension. Can you remember that? Joy is the first principle of the ascension. Take two individuals, one who fulfills his assignment without joy, and one who fulfills them with joy. The one without joy, beloved, may lose his ascension for want of joy, and the one with joy may make it even though some elements are missing. Moses, if you remember, had a very hard time leading the Israelites. You remember, he went up into the mountain and got the 10 Commandments, but while he was there, the Israelites gathered together all of their gold and silver and so on, and they melted it down and created a golden calf to worship instead of God. Moses, as he came down the mountain with the 10 Commandments in stone, saw what was happening, got so involved in the reaction that he cast down the 10 Commandments and broke them up and had to go back up. From then on, he had a hard time getting that inner joy which is so important. And so he lost his ascension in that lifetime because of that, not only that one action, but if you follow him through his leading of the children of Israel, he lost it because he was so resentful and hurt by the reaction of the people he was trying to lead. So he came back the next lifetime as Lord Ling. Lord Ling. Lord Ling was a Chinese. His whole embodiment was one of laughter, joy, happiness, through which he then won his ascension. So let's return to our beloved Lanello. He says that your joy might be full was the prayer of Jesus, and that you might know and have his joy remaining in you. This joy, beloved, can never be satisfied by human companionship alone, but by a human companionship wherein those who are together see this as a vehicle for the divine companionship, for a divine joy that sprinkles laughter and merriment and play betwixt the hours of hard concentration. This joy, beloved, that spans all octaves is pleasing to God. Therefore I say, abandon the sense of martyrdom. Abandon the sense of self-condemnation. Abandon a sense of non-joy. But take care that your joy puts God first. Therefore, cast out the idolatrous consciousness that will lean upon human companionship to the extent where calamity is on its way. You know, the hardest death I've ever observed was at the death of a woman, a couple whose marriage had lasted for 60-some years. They were in their 80s. Mary died. And her husband could not accept this. And from the moment she passed, from then on, all he wanted to do was die. I want to be with Mary. I want to be with Mary. I want to go and be with Mary. I want to go and be with Mary for 2 weeks until he committed that created his suicide. Whether it was his time or not, whether God decided or not, he was going to decide. And it was so difficult to watch. The agonies he went through, he created for himself because he did not have this basic understanding of life. He said, for our God is truly a jealous God and will tear from you that thing, that individual to whom you give greater preference than you give to him or to her, to Alpha and Omega. Thus your mighty I Am presence with you, shining in all the splendor of the Father, Mother, God, does continually radiate to you joy. And the descending crystal cord is a bubbling stream of joy. It is a bubbling stream of joy, beloved, as the light cascades into your heart. Therefore, distribute joy, and know that merriment which does also enter and entertain the angels, and keep them in their courses, surrounding you and assisting you. You see, when we are not joyful, angels have a hard time being around us. Because of our vibration, they pull away from us. We need to constantly be in joy. They say joy is another name for God. And if we want to be God and move into that consciousness, then we have to be in the consciousness of joy. So the words of Fulton Sheen have been quoted in this court. And so he has also spoken of the joy of the service of the Lord and the great sense of humor that Jesus brought, that God himself contains, making not too much of the unrealities of the world, not too much of the failures or the successes, but realizing that we pass through and nothing is permanent here save the permanent relationship with God. Understanding the divine sense of humor will make you able to deal with the most difficult karmic situations, the most deadly intent of the fallen ones. As the Lord holds them in derision, may you also hold them in derision. And may your joy be such a consciousness of the Sacred Heart of Jesus that you can meet friend or foe with the same light and lilt. For you have the co-measurement of the joy of angels and the merriment of God himself in the face of such a serious as that of unreality, the seriousness as that of unreality of the fallen ones themselves. So when things really happen against us, we need to be so free within ourselves that we can chuckle and we can stop and say, okay, Master, what is my way from here? How do I attend this? And if we can become still and tune into that still small voice, the Master is there to give us the answers. But if we go into the convulsions of agony and so on, and anger and so on, we are not in the attunement to hear the still small voice. That is why we need to start changing, making it opposite of what we usually react to when something terrible happens to us. When we are in a real test, you want to say, okay? Blessed hearts, joy flames go out when you are not in sync with your cycles of the staircase of life. In other words, when we are not meeting our test day by day, joy begins to wane and leave us. There comes upon you a frantic sense of urgency within. You are not up to date. You are not doing what you need to do in order to make your ascension at the end of this life. You may connect it to outer responsibilities, burdens and debts, or to not having enough time to do everything you want to do. You may have lost your job, and therefore you blame that for the reason you're feeling so bad, when basically it could very well be that you're not in tune with where you should be spiritually. Well, time will fall in place, and so will space, when you dedicate your day to meeting the requirements of the day's initiation on that step of your stairway of life. Then you will go to sleep at night in peace and have the peace of angels, knowing that you are one step closer to the victory of your ascension, or to the point of your adeptship, where you may reincarnate again with a full 100% of your karma balanced. And that would be saying you are now a spiritual giant, having done away, cleaned all your records, and now you can truly be the Christ of God. Yes, beloved, your daily tasks and obligations and responsibilities have everything to do with your initiations on this staircase of life. Your daily tasks, your jobs, your relationships with people, everything that happens in your life has to do with your stepping forward in your ascension. Dispatch them well. Guard your time. Seal yourself to accomplish that which you must accomplish. For even well-meaning individuals can be the instrument of fallen angels. They come to waste your time, whether on the telephone. And have you ever been talking to someone on the telephone and you're desperately trying to get something finished, but this person will refuse to stop talking, refuse to have you say goodbye. They just keep pushing you. This is what he's talking about, whether on the telephone, by mail, or in person, creating calamities or circumstances that would have you believe that no one else can solve them except yourself. We just are in the process of introducing a new broadcast system. We have gone through tremendous challenges, oppositions. Even starting today, it just didn't want to start. As you see this, you can get all excited, or you can hold the line and allow the Master to lead you through it. And if we can get into that consciousness, well, he says, release yourself from the sense of idolatry. Beloved ones, only your Christ self can solve those problems. Only Almighty God can solve them. And when you develop that attitude, you will dispatch those problems and dispense with them in a mighty short time and a mighty short space. We must learn to listen when things get tough. We must learn to stop and think and work with it. Therefore, the deftness of your use of the sword of Archangel Michael comes with using it often, comes with it using it at every task, every item on your desk, in your shop, and in the fields, on the farms, tending God's flocks, on the ranch. Yes, beloved, understand that you can move in eternity just as you can be in your immortality, and the coils of your immortality here below. So you do not have to be confined by time and space. With the Mercurian speed of light from the heart of El Morya and God Mercury, you can utter the command in the fiat that will literally collapse the ploys and plots of the fallen ones. This is a present possibility for many of you, yet you do not exercise it. You think of exercising the body. Exercise the mercurial mind of God, and let there go forth a ray of light, a point of blue lightning from your mind, to literally consume all substance that would prevent you or anyone, even the one through whom that substance comes, from attaining his victory on that day. I ask you to devise a chart for each and every member of our staff and any keepers of the flame who would use it. And I mean this, beloved. Those of you who have imagination as well as a sense of organization should think about this. This chart is to be something you can use to check off tasks accomplished in the hours of the day. You can have it on your wall, in your office. And only you will know whether at the end of the day you can paste upon that chart a victory star. Yes, beloved, a victory star, a gold star for having accomplished all those things that were on your list that you were capable of accomplishing. A victory star for not having let anyone deter you from that path, and yet still having dealt with the needs of those who truly are deserving of your time and attention. Blessed hearts, take control of your day, for it is a cycle of the sun. It is a cycle of the earth. It is a cycle of your path of the ascension. This is how you make your ascension. I tell you, you score a victory each day. That means you must enter your day with a fierceness and a determination. Take the end of the day to plan for tomorrow, to organize what you will do, when you will arise, who you will see, and who you cannot see. Set goals and achieve them no matter what. For to break the patterns of letting things get by you, letting people interrupt you, is no small task, but it is accomplished by the sure-footedness of the compassionate ones. These compassionate ones, beloved, manage to achieve their victory and also accomplish their daily assignments. A day's victory can become the victory of a lifetime. Count the days in the year, and then years in the decades of a lifespan, and see how many victories you must achieve to finally step on the dais in the Ascension Temple at Luxor and feel the caressing love, the white fire of Ascension's flame, and hear the welcoming of seraphim who surround you, and of all the adepts who themselves are candidates for the Ascension. Beloved ones, you will feel better about yourself when you are in control of the hours of the day. Think of your victories as being moment by moment. Think of your failures as losing the moments, and think of your lost moments as being added up into hours and days of non-achievement. Beloved ones, this is the point of suicide that I come to discuss with you today. It is the hours that are lost because you have not filled them with the joy flame of Christ. And without the joy flame of Christ, your bodies will not be healthy. You will not have the strength that you need. Joy is the key to healing. Joy is movement. Joy is life. Joy is self-attention to the needs of the four lower bodies, but not over self-concern. Joy is the sense of committing oneself to God and letting God flush out the non-joy by that descending cascade of the mighty river of life. Oh, beloved ones, I have seen the days and the hours of earth. I have reviewed my own embodiments. There is not a single saint in heaven, nor an ascended master, who does not look back on the record of his lifetimes with a great sense of loss and burden, that in many of those lifetimes a certain percentage of the hours and the days was lost. Lost to a pursuit of pleasure that was not required by the body or the soul, but was merely an indulgence. I can tell you, we have paid the price for those years and embodiments of indulgence, both you and I. Now let us get on with life. That is, lived in the full zest of that joy of living. Each one of you knows when you are in perfect attunement with your holy Christ self. Oh, beloved ones, something is the matter when joy flees from you. You must determine what is the matter. You must not suppress it. You must drag it out and look at it. You must see the phantom of the night, the ghost of the former self, and all of that psychology that you are working through. Again, remember Moses. He did a phenomenal job leading the children of Israel out of Egypt, but lost his ascension. And so we don't want to do the same thing after all the work in this lifetime. We do not want to lose our ascension. We want to be there. Continuing now, I say, work through it. Do not simply tarry in working with it forever. Work through it, beloved, and get beyond it. Whatever is bugging you, whatever is holding you back, whatever is in your subconscious or whatever, deal with it. See it for what it is. It will not go away without the mighty sword of blue flame from Archangel Michael. Seize those swords. Make it your priority to own your own and twirl it daily in the way of Durga. Yes, beloved, become the Divine Mother. Use the sword and remember that if you think you have allowed something to pass into your subconscious, but you do not understand what it was, and you do not remember how you set it in motion, a negative spiral when you were 3 or 10 or 12 or 25, then, beloved, you must pursue it with a zeal right to the very point of its origin. You can see why you do not change merely with the violet flame or the Ascended Master's teachings. You understand, you begin to understand why you're not moving forward like you like. You must therefore pick up the decree of the great Divine Director to arrest those spirals, even of your psychology, that are negative in your world, even though you know not where they have come from or how they began. In his dictation on October 10th, 1971, the great Divine Director gave the following teaching, and this is what Lanello is referring to in this moment. He said, the mighty I Am presence, and you have the mighty I Am presence, and I have the mighty I Am presence. The mighty I Am presence has the authority and the power to instantaneously arrest the reverse and reverse any cycle, and to cause the complete erasing and disintegration of it, the right back to the 12 o'clock line. I say to you, you must demand and command it in the name of the Christ, that every single cycle of every single cell and atom within your form that is not outpicturing the perfect cycles of the Christ consciousness is now dissolved, is now arrested and turned back by the authority of your God presence. if you will but make that invocation each morning, you will find in a very short time that only the cycles of immortal life and your divine plan fulfilled and your ascension will prevail. This is the reference he was talking about. So, call to the great divine director, he says, to arrest those spirals. Arrest them with your mighty sword of blue flame. Cast them into the fire and ask to be illumined. What are the elements? What are the elements of the mind or heart or soul that must be healed and must be made whole? Then plunge into the sea of mercy's flame. Plunge into the great heart of the Lady Master, Kuan Yin. Plunge into the into the mantras of mercy. Saturate yourself, beloved, and know that a certain transmutation will take place when you determine not to allow the non-joy to displace your great joy. A certain transmutation will take place indeed, without your having to know every point of denial that has caused the spirals of denial to multiply within you. And so I'd like for you to take out your pen and pencil, and I'd like for you to write down the call that he is suggesting each of us make each morning. And I'm going to read this very slowly so that you can write it down if you would like. In the name of my mighty I Am Presence. In the name of my mighty I Am Presence. And the great divine director. In the name Jesus Christ. I demand and command the arresting of the spirals of negative karma throughout my entire consciousness, being, and world. That every single cycle of every single cell and atom within my form that is not out picturing the perfect cycles of the Christ consciousness be now dissolved, be now arrested and turned back by the authority of my God presence. And in the name of Jesus Christ, I demand and command that the cycles of immortal life and my divine plan be fulfilled, and that my ascension prevail. Do you want to ascend in this lifetime? Do you want to really take command? Then here is a very key to that possibility. In the name of my mighty I Am Presence and the great divine director, in the name Jesus Christ, I demand and command the arresting of the spirals of negative karma throughout my entire consciousness, being, and world. That every single cycle and every single cycle and every single cell and atom within my form that is not out picturing that perfect cycles of the Christ consciousness be now dissolved, be now arrested and turned back by the authority of my God presence. And in the name of Jesus Christ, I demand and command that the cycles of immortal life and my divine plan be fulfilled, and that my ascension prevail. You see, you can have something to say about your ascension. You can prepare yourself for it. This is the whole meaning of the parable that Jesus gave about the 12 wedding virgins who were waiting for the bridegroom. 6 of them prepared themselves for the distance between the time they got there and he arrived. And 6 of them was not prepared. They just brought enough oil for their lamps at the moment. Well, I went on into the night, and all at once the lamps went out, and all at once they heard, "He's coming, he's coming." And those who were prepared poured new oil in their lamps, and they were ready to join the bridegroom. The others said, "Oh, please share some of your oil. We didn't bring any extra oil." So they had to go out and buy oil, and they lost the opportunity. This is the whole secret of that parable. And so as we begin to work with this awareness, we can do something about our ascension if we prepare for it day by day. This is the whole message. Beloved hearts of light, I speak to you with a profound love and great practicality. I am practical, and I see at inner levels how souls of light upon earth do miss the opportunity for their ascension. Of course, when they do not have this path and teachings, they are not at an advantage, but really at a disadvantage. It makes us sad indeed to see those who have the path and have the teachings and do not make it. For you understand, beloved, that it is possible for many more who have this teaching to make the ascension than actually do. Well, what is the difference, beloved, between those who make it and those who do not? I believe the difference is that those individuals who do not make it do not take command of their own lives, but wait for someone else to command them and to take care of them. Taking command of your life and taking responsibility for your life means that you take responsibility for the path and the teaching and your daily service of decrees wherein you know you have accomplished what must be accomplished for that day's increment of your ascension. And this is my point, beloved. You ascend a little every day imperceptibly. And if you do not take that little flame's point of acceleration in that day, because your failure to invoke the light of God sufficiently, then you are not stepping up your cells and atoms gradually, and you will not be ready for the full fire of the ascension pillar to pass through you. Get this, beloved. This is where you and I are now. What is the ascension flame? But a million little flames. What is the river of life? But a million drops of water. Do you see, beloved? Each flame you accept and internalize each day, which is not a problem, for you scarcely notice the adjustment in your world. Each little flame then prepares you to receive the great, great God flame of your I Am presence that is the ascension flame. Your I Am presence is the ascension flame. When you become one in your ascension flame, you ascend. You become one in God. This is exciting stuff. It begins to put it down to where you and I can see it and understand it and work with it. Beloved ones, observe your gaze, whether it be upon the mountains or upon your I Am presence, or looking about the world for someone searching for this or that satisfaction or this or that attention. Is there something that you yet want from this world? Then tell yourself what it is. Ask yourself why you want it, and if it is worth the digression. Ask yourself if you can attain the satisfaction of that experience or that something that you want through the path of self-mastery an initiation? Or do you really need to go out and experience in some form that something that you find wanting in yourself? Beloved hearts, more desires and longings for this world and the things of it can be satisfied by communion with God than you can ever dream of. The trouble is, beloved ones, that people place their attention upon their desirings to such a great extent that they wind the coil of desire around the pole of being, around the spine. And each time it is wound, each time it is reconsidered, each time you see that desire and you could feel the pull into that desire, that coil of desire makes a stronger and stronger desire in them to do that thing which will take them from their God-centeredness. Thus, you have understood this principle in Lord Maitreya's teaching on fear. So it works with every other negative vibration. But desire, beloved, is the most powerful force in your world. Desire is the most important force, and the most powerful force in your world. Desire, beloved, will propel you to God, and desire will take you to the very depths of the astral plane. Karmas themselves beget wrong desire. Therefore, be free. This is my message to you today. Be free. And the only true and lasting freedom you will ever have is the victory of your ascension in this light, in the light. And short of that, beloved, you will know a certain element and a powerful element of that freedom if you will take hold of your desires. Do not suppress them. But if you desire something that you know is not right, then go after that desire with your sword, with the Astrayas, with your surrender rosary, with your calls for the binding of your dweller on the threshold. Go after your wrong desires, beloved, and devour them by the sacred fire. For if you do not, they will only grow, and even at the subconscious level, and soon they will devour you. This is the single factor that takes people from the path of initiation. It is wrong desire. Pray to your Holy Christ self that you might know what is wrong desire, and the idleness of the mind, and the misuse of time and space. Pray to know it. Pray to have that Christ mind. Pray to have the presence of the Lord, our righteousness. Right desire can be known, beloved, in every circumstance. Therefore seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. My little ones, my great ones, my children, my souls aborning in the womb, I rejoice to walk through this land. I rejoice to be in your midst. It is my desire, and it is a great desire, that you accept me as being physically present with you. I am so near to you. If you will only incline your ear, you will hear me speaking to you through your Holy Christ self with correct discretion and judgment and direction. You will know me through my beloved, and therefore hear my words through her and do not miss them. When you are close to some levels of communication, for you do not want your worlds to be disturbed, you will avoid me and her, and you will lose a lesson that could liberate you in a day from something you may otherwise carry for a decade. We are very much with you, and we have been with you for many, many centuries. We have come again and again together, and we are bonding, and the bonding of us all to one another can be compared to the bonding of us all to the cosmic Christ and the Holy Christ self. We need to understand that we have been around a long time, millions of years. We have reincarnated as cosmic groups, families, as cosmic families. We meet people on the street we have never met before, but yet we know them well. It's because we have been with them over and over again. So we are bonded together. This horizontal bar of our cross, through which we are bonded to one another, is the strengthening of the vertical bar, through which we achieve the bonding to your Holy Christ self. To that end, we desire to take you to the hour when 51% of your karma is balanced, and beyond it. We desire to take you to that place where you will not lose what you have gained, where you will not fall back because of false teachers, where you will not be fooled by the momentums of your own electronic belt, nor of the dweller on the threshold itself in the final manifestation of the subtlety of serpent. Yes, beloved ones, many of you are yet fragile. Many of you require our sustaining presence. You work hard with your decrees and in your service, but you do not have the sense of co-measurement of just how much strengthening and overshadowing you receive, not only from ourselves, but from the holy angels and many ascended masters. You can consider yourselves, in one sense of the word, as mature sons and daughters of God, with great knowledge of the path, and in another sense of the word, as newly born babes yet in incubators, not able to live outside those incubators until you become strengthened. So there is a side of the nature that is fragile, and there is a side of the nature that is strong. And again, beloved, it is relative, so that you know not when you are weak, and you know not when you are strong. Thus the ascended masters do come, and we do dote over you, but we do not indulge you. And we are fierce in challenging you when you allow yourselves to express the not-self. This cannot go unnoticed. It cannot go without discipline. This deserves the cosmic spanking, because all of you know better, and all of you are capable of doing better. And therefore, when you vent that anger of the dweller on occasion, you must understand, beloved, that you do so knowingly and willingly, and that you do so because you have not taken the precautions day by day to gain that mastery over the beast. This is the significance of my coming today, to let you know that you can master yourself in the depths of those canyons of your subconscious and unconscious. But you must be aware that that is what is happening in your life, for without awareness, you may falter and fall. I rejoice to see the fruitage of your outreach and your service. I rejoice to see those who are diligent co-workers who have stood with us for 10 and 20 and more years of service. I rejoice to see those who have newly come on the path, to see those who desire to shepherd other souls, to see those who pray earnestly for the purification of their souls. I rejoice to see those who are pure in heart and agile of mind, who put their faculties to the very highest and best and noblest use in the service of our cause. You are bonded to each one of us, beloved, by our effort and by yours. You can strengthen this bonding. You can take on the yoke of light, which is the light of our causal bodies, that has an inner astrology not known to you. And you can also take on the yoke of our karma, that is world karma itself, beloved, that we bear together through the signs and astrological charts. Therefore, pursue this, and know indeed what strengths and opportunities I have to bestow upon you from my causal body, those elements whose time has come to descend, for the cosmic cycles have turned. Yes, beloved, it is wonderful to be with you. It is wonderful to be with you again and again. Make room for me in your office. Even a tiny picture of me will signal that I am welcome there. My preference, beloved, of a photograph is that which is before you. It is the one of myself on the sermons for a Sabbath evening album. This particular portrait, beloved, I had taken in the full knowledge that I would be taking my leave of this world in the victory of the ascension. In this you will find my electronic presence of divine love, for it was with a great desire to present to you a photo of my passionate love for your souls that I had this photograph taken. Thus I know that you will know me through that presence, through that look, through that heart. I can do, oh, so much more for you, for I have that dispensation. Being the co-founder with El Morya of the Summit Lighthouse, being now a co-guru with him, and serving under him, I can do so much, beloved. Don't forget to call to me, for Lanello is my name. Don't forget, little ones, all the children of this community and beyond, and those who are coming and those who must be on this path. There are so many that I hold in my arms. Don't forget to teach them, to call to me and to tell them that Lanello is my name. Yes, my beloved Guru, I thank you for this tremendous giving of those things that count in the ascension of our personal beings. So bless each one of us with understanding, with strength, with the thrust of life that will allow us to stand on that dais and accept our own words of welcome of our ascension. Oh, beloved Lanello, we would be L'Anello in manifestation unto the world. So accept us and bless us and work with us, for in you there is victory and peace. Thank you.